Abby Brooks is a TV hostess for a famous reality show. The objective of the reality show is to remodel restaurants that need some help. Abby is an accomplished woman who loves helping people fulfill their dreams. She used to be a chef, but after her ex introduced her to a TV network, she left her restaurant backstage to work in front of the cameras. She's a great hostess. Her show is in its third season, but the ratings aren't as good as when she first started. The movie opens with Abby reopening a restaurant she recently helped remodel, and it's beautiful. The restaurant owner is pleased with the results, and that's all that matters to Abby. The satisfaction she gets from assisting restaurants is what pushes her forward. She's ready to celebrate the ending of another season with her friend Kenna when her producer, Becca, calls her to a meeting. Despite being tired, Abby isn't one to skip important appointments. Kenna thinks Abby needs to relax a bit. She's married and has kids, so whenever she has the chance to chill out, she takes it. Abby is single and has no obligations except to herself and her job. Kenna tells her that once she's married with kids, she will understand how important free time is. Abby thinks Kenna is being dramatic, but offers for her to come to her house so they can watch a movie and chill. Kenna eagerly accepts. Later on, Abby and Kenna are eating takeout and watching shows on TV. Abby complains to Jenna that she misses working as a chef. She enjoys being a TV hostess, but she feels as if it's not enough for her anymore. She always loved cooking and working at a restaurant. She loves the rush, the excitement of a filled house, and the stress of a kitchen. Kenna points out that she still works with restaurants, but it's not the same. Abby goes to restaurants and helps the owners to fix the issues they have, and that's it. She barely has the chance to cook anymore. They change channels to a romantic movie that Kenna loves. Abby doesn't think romantic movies are believable and they are mostly corny. Kenna disagrees. She remembers when she met her husband and it was very romantic. Sadly for Abby, with her career, she barely has time to date. Her past relationships didn't work out great either, so she's hopeless to romance. Kenna thinks she needs to let go a little and have fun. She thinks Abby is a catch, the complete package, even. The problem is that she never lets herself be caught by anyone. The following day, Abby receives some news from Becca. She has to travel to a small town called Lawrence, in Minnesota. Since her show isn't doing so great after 3 seasons, the network wants to try a new format. Instead of helping fancy restaurants in the big cities, Abby is going to work in small-town diners and restaurants. It's a huge change in Abby's opinion, and she isn't happy about it. She's a city girl, and she loves working with big restaurants. Traditional, family-owned restaurants are not her thing. Still, she can't say no. If she does, her show is canceled. Left with no choice, Abby packs her bags and goes on a road trip to Lawrence with Kenna. The city of Lawrence is beautiful with its abundance of lush greenery and breathtaking landscapes. It's mostly rural, and the expansive fields are adorned with farms. Abby has to admit it's a nice place. Kenna looks for the nightlife of the city, and there's only a bowling alley that closes early. Nothing like they are used to. On their way to the diner, there is a herd of sheep in the middle of the road and Abby has to stop. She tries honking, but the sheep don't move. She begrudgingly leaves the car to try and move the sheep. At this very moment, a truck stops next to her car. Abby is surprised when she looks inside the car and sees a very handsome hunk of a man grinning at her. He has brown hair and his smile brightens his whole face. Her mouth hangs open for a moment before her brain catches up. The man tells her that she only needs to honk to scatter the sheep. Abby informs him that she tried it and it didn't work. The man chuckles because it's obvious she's an outsider, and honks his horn. The sheep move and he can pass. Abby watches as he rides with no issue. Her phone rings and it's Becca again. She belatedly informs Abby that her show has a new name. It's Abby's on the Road. She explains that the format is going to change and Abby may be on the road for weeks or even a month. Abby is shocked and finds it absurd that they didn't warn her previously. Now she has no way of changing their minds because the show is literally on the road. Becca excitedly tells her to have fun and hangs up. Abby has no clue how she's going to have fun in the middle of nowhere. Kenna sees her long face and asks what's wrong. Abby complains that she's losing track of her show and she's not enjoying the path it's taking. Kenna makes fun of her for not being in her element being a city girl, which annoys Abby even more. She has always lived in the city and she has a biased view of small towns. She thinks they are boring and that the restaurants are probably subpar to what she's used to. They arrive at the diner that's going to be the stage for Abby's show. The exterior of the diner has a retro design with a neon sign with its name, Rocco's Diner. Inside, it's cozy with booths, checkered floors, and vintage memorabilia. Abby thinks it's probably going to be a burger and fries type of diner. It's filled with people inside, so that's a good sign. Abby and Kenna bump accidentally into one of the waitresses, attracting everyone's attention to them. Everyone laughs and claps, which confuses Kenna and Abby. The nice waitress makes a joke and moves on from them. Then, the diner owner appears, eager to find out what made his patrons so excited. It's the same handsome man from the road and Abby instantly recognizes him. She asks what he's doing there and he replies that he owns the place. Abby is taken aback because she didn't expect him to own the diner. She quickly explains that she's there for the diner's makeover, but he has no idea what she's talking about. He doesn't recognize her either. When Kenna wonders if he doesn't know who Abby is, he explains that he rarely watches TV. He thinks they are too many lame reality shows instead of good programs. That's enough to make Abby defensive. She has to hold back an angry retort and informs him that they are there to make a lame reality show. The man's name's Tommy Billings. The diner belonged to his father before him, and Tommy always worked there. He learned how to cook with his father, and he's a great chef now. His Aunt Marge, who is also the waitress, called Abby's TV show there to help Tommy out. She knows he has a lot of talent, but he's stuck in his ways. Tommy doesn't think it's a great idea, and he's upset with his aunt for going behind his back. He refuses to let Abby do the makeover, thinking that she just wants to exploit him and his business. Abby tries to explain that she's there to help him make his diner better, but Tommy is stubborn. He tells her that he needs time to think about it. He isn't thrilled about filming, and he's skeptical about the show. Tommy leaves them to make some food, and Marge goes after him to try and convince him. She's worried about him. Tommy was married to a woman named Linda, but she passed away a few years back. Tommy still hasn't moved on from his late wife. She thinks that maybe changing the diner would help him fulfill his dreams and move on. Tommy disagrees with her. He thinks his diner is good enough as it is, and his patrons never complain about it. He also needs the stability of his 13-year-old daughter, Claire. Unbeknownst to him, Claire is a big fan of the show, and it was her idea that they call them there. Marge advises him to take the opportunity and even points out that Abby is pretty. With that, he agrees. He can't take his eyes off Abby. She's a beautiful woman, and it's obvious to him that she's passionate about what she does. Meanwhile, Abby is sure that Tommy is going to accept the proposal. She and Kenna talk about the best places and positions to film while Tommy has an identity crisis in the kitchen. They go around the diner to talk to the patrons and find out if there's anything they want to change. A man named Billy, one of Tommy's friends, says that Tommy deserves to have only the best. He mentions that the diner belonged to his father and that Tommy never did anything to make the diner his. He continued his father's tradition, but it was time for him to start his own tradition. Claire arrives at the diner with fresh produce, and Abby watches her interacting with Tommy. It's clear he's a great father from the way Claire's eyes brighten when she looks at him. After talking to his patrons and seeing him interact with Claire, Abby starts feeling that she's at the right place. She approaches them, and Claire instantly recognizes Abby. She's a big fan of her show, and she always watches it with Marge. Tommy is surprised that everyone knows about the show but him. Abby takes the opportunity that Claire is there to tell Tommy that she's going to be there the next day to start filming. Tommy informs her that he hasn't decided anything yet, but Claire and Marge are determined to change his mind. Abby once again tells him she's there to help, and she's not his enemy. When Abby and Kenna leave, Claire tells Tommy that she's sure he's going to make the right choice. Tommy knows what she and Aunt Marge want, but he's not as confident. Kenna and Abby stay at a small hotel with comfortable rooms. Kenna is happy enough being away from her family for some time, but Abby isn't. She thinks she's wasting her time there because it's clear Tommy doesn't want her help. She vents to Kenna that she is used to working with big restaurants with Michelin stars, and now she has to work at a diner. She thinks it's ridiculous. Kenna comforts her by saying that it's exciting for her to do something new. She knows Abby can do anything she puts her mind to, and working with small-town restaurants is no different. The next day, Abby and her crew are in front of Rocco's bright and early. Tommy is there looking sheepish and nervous, and when Abby asks if he's ready to shoot, he isn't. The only reason he accepted being part of the show is because of Claire. She's excited about it, and Tommy would do anything for his daughter. Abby is glad that he accepted it. She asks her crew to give him a makeover, and they change his clothes and put on some makeup. Abby starts introducing the new show and explaining where she is. Tommy interrupts her and says that his restaurant doesn't need a complete makeover. He keeps interrupting her to crack jokes, and it makes Abby mad. Tommy is nothing like the other participants, and she doesn't know how to act around him. They stop filming because it's obvious on Abby's face that she is bothered. On their second take, Abby tells Tommy to wait for her cue before talking, and he doesn't. She asks for a break to talk to Kenna in private and complains about Tommy. She thinks he's being obnoxious on purpose to sabotage the show because he doesn't want to be part of it. Kenna calms Abby and says that their charged chemistry is off the charts. Abby doesn't believe that at all, but she's professional. They try again, and it isn't much better. Abby is frustrated with Tommy and dreads the following days. Kenna thinks she's being dramatic and that she should give Tommy some time to get used to the cameras. She also points out that his food is delicious, which doesn't help Abby's situation at all. They continue filming, and Tommy continues being difficult. When they film his family recipe, he doesn't say all the ingredients, and Abby has to come up with an excuse for his behavior. She compliments his diner and food, but he keeps interrupting her to make snide comments. After another break, Abby tries again to reassure him that she's not there to exploit him. She only wants to help. Seeing her look so desperate touches Tommy's heart. He decides to extend an olive branch to her. He explains that he's nervous with the cameras, and he cracks jokes when he's out of his comfort zone. He apologizes for his behavior, and Abby promises him that she only wants what's best for his diner. She also compliments his food and says that he's a great dad. After their honest talk, they find some common ground and start making progress. Claire also participates in the program, making some food. This time, Tommy describes all his ingredients and even makes Abby try an organic carrot. She loves it. Tommy flirts with her and says there's more where it comes from. Abby feels her heart skip a beat at his boyish grin and kind eyes. She finds out that when he's not trying to push her away, he's very nice. After a successful day of filming, Claire invites Abby to a barbecue at her aunt's Marge house. Abby excitedly accepts. On the day of the barbecue, she doesn't know what to wear. Kenna catches her picking up clothes and finds it funny. For someone who seemed to despise Tommy, Abby is putting a lot of effort into looking pretty. Abby denies that it's for Tommy, but it is. She wants to look pretty for him. She gets dressed in a cute outfit and goes to Marge's place. Tommy is cooking and once again Abby is impressed with his talent. Everything is delicious and she compliments him. After lunch, she notices Tommy staring off at the lake and approaches him. He has a faraway look on his face, probably thinking about his wife and missing her. Tommy knows he's attracted to Abby. After his first impression, he noticed that she was kind, passionate, and easygoing. She also treats Claire well and encourages her to follow her dreams. It's been a long time since he was so interested in someone like that, and it makes him scared. He still loves his wife, he always will no matter what. Abby makes him question his restraint. When she approaches him with a soft smile on her face, he feels the ice around his heart melting. She wonders if everything is all right, and he explains that he's only feeling overwhelmed. His simple life was bulldozed out of nowhere and he didn't have time to get used to it. He isn't complaining. He finally understood that Abby is there to help. But it's difficult for a small town like him to appear on TV. Abby compliments him and says he's doing great. He's a natural. She also asks about his family, and he tells her that he was born and raised there. He loves living in a small town. He feels as if in the city people are always stressed and in a hurry. Abby agrees, but she also never thought she would get used to living in a small town. She enjoys living in the big city. They start talking about relationships and Abby says she's single. She explains that dating in the big city is difficult and she works a lot too. As for Tommy, he tells her that his wife passed away, and he never dated after that. He wanted to take care of Claire. Besides, dating in a small town is even worse than dating in a big city. Everybody knows everybody and the gossip is awful. He compliments her show and she confesses that working as a TV hostess isn't her dream. She wants to go back to cooking eventually. Tommy tells her that she can work with him if she wants. Abby feels bashful about his flirting, but she's enjoying it. It felt so easy talking to him that she even confessed her deepest desires. Tommy also enjoyed talking to her and he wants to see her more. He invites her for his fundraiser dinner and she accepts. She even thinks it's going to be a great finale for the show. They go back to the house and Abby goes to help Marge with cleaning. Marge tells her that Claire loves her and can't stop talking about how great she is. Abby feels happy because she also felt a connection to Claire, and it's great to know it's mutual. Marge subtly mentions that Tommy doesn't let many people get close to them, so Abby is special. She wants Abby to keep pushing Tommy in the right direction. Abby thinks she's talking about the show, but she's talking about a romantic relationship. Marge is Abby's biggest support. She wants Tommy to be happy again, and she sees Abby fulfilling that role perfectly. Before Abby leaves, Marge hugs her and Abby thanks her for welcoming her into their family. Later on, Becca calls Abby to tell her that she thinks her chemistry with Tommy is great and she wants to explore it. She has no idea that their chemistry goes beyond the screen. Abby doesn't want to exploit her relationship with Tommy, she refuses. Becca informs her that the network is thinking about doing 2 makeovers in 1 episode, so she's going to be traveling more. Her stay in Lawrence is going to be cut short too. She pleads for Becca to give her more time because she thinks the episode is going to be great. She's upset that they never consult her before making big changes. Becca understands her position, but the network is the one to call the shots. Abby convinces her to give her until the fundraiser and promises that the results are going to be worth it. Becca agrees. The next day, Abby appears at the diner without her crew. She has a gift for Tommy. It's a picture of him and his father the day they bought the diner. Tommy is emotional and happy about it. Abby tells him that his father would be impressed with what he did for the diner, and that he should be proud of himself. Tommy is grateful to Abby and her words. They assure him that he is on the right track. In the evening, Claire goes out to have a drink with Kenna and they talk about Tommy. Kenna makes fun of Abby's infatuation with him and says that her new name, Abby Billings, has a great ring to it. Abby likes Tommy, but her life is far away from Lawrence. She would date him without a second thought if they lived closer to each other. As it is, she's soon going to move on to the next diner. It's sad, but it's her reality. Abby's phone rings and she answers it using Abby Billings instead of Brooks, much to her embarrassment. It's Tommy and he thinks it's funny that she used his name. He invites her to his house because he's making a new dish for the diner and she wants to know his opinion. Abby readily agrees and excitedly leaves Kenna to meet him. When she's outside his house, she checks her makeup quickly and he catches her doing it. After the blunder on the phone and her checking up on her appearance, it's obvious that she's interested in him. It makes him excited because he likes her a lot. Tommy's house is a cozy cabin that matches him perfectly. Abby finds it lovely. Tommy asks her to cook with him and she is happy to accept. They have great chemistry and have a lot of fun. Abby accidentally throws sauce on Tommy's shirt and he has to change. While she's alone, she goes around his house and sees the plans he has for his diner. Despite what everyone thought, he had ideas for a makeover before she arrived with her crew. She wonders why he didn't do it by himself and he explains that it was more of a hobby. She thinks he has a talent and should explore more. They go have dinner and Abby loves his dish. He truly is talented in the kitchen. She tells him that he should put the dish in the diner's menu, but he's still unsure about his talents. He thinks people won't order anything different from burgers and fries. Abby strongly disagrees. Her opinion is that he should try before making his conclusions. While talking about it, they start getting closer to each other until there are only a few centimeters dividing them. They are almost kissing when the door opens. It's Claire and Marge. There was a heavy storm approaching and Marge wanted to bring her before it got worse. They notice that they are interrupting a date, but when asked, Tommy and Abby deny it's a date. Claire asks for Abby's help making dessert for them and she agrees. She loves the girl, she's funny and intelligent. Claire admires Abby and looks up at her. They have lots of fun cooking. Marge calls Tommy outside to talk to him and they watch the girls interacting. Claire looks happy. Marge tells Tommy that she likes Abby, she's a good girl. Tommy agrees. The only problem is that she's going to leave soon, and they won't be able to explore their relationship. Marge suggests that he waits to see what happens. Maybe something is going to change. If it's meant to be, everything is going to work out in the end. Tommy isn't so sure. He admits that he doesn't feel as if he's ready for a relationship. Marge disagrees with him. She thinks he's only afraid of putting himself out there. She points out how happy Claire is with Abby and that she needs a woman's presence in her life. Tommy doesn't want to give Claire hope and then make her disappointed if it doesn't work out. His priority is her, no matter what. Back to Claire and Abby, Abby asks if she bakes a lot with Tommy. Claire sadly replies that baking was more of her mother's thing and that Tommy prefers cooking. Abby notices she's sad and tells her that she's glad to have the opportunity to bake with her. The power goes off and they have to wait until it goes on again. They eat the cake they baked in the dark and it's been a long time since Abby felt so nice with family. She feels welcomed and appreciated by Tommy's family. It only makes it harder to think that she's going to be leaving soon. When the power is back, Abby decides to leave. Marge offers her a ride and Tommy takes her to the door. They almost kiss again after they say goodbye, but Marge interrupts by honking. When Tommy goes back inside, he talks to Claire about Abby. She thinks Abby is great and she would like to have her in her life. Tommy agrees, but he explains that Claire is his priority, and he wants to make sure that she isn't hurt in the end. Abby arrives at the hotel to meet an eager-to-gossip Kenna. She denies she was on a date, but says that she had a great time with Tommy and his family. The next day, Abby prepares another surprise for Tommy. She made the chicken parmesan that he made for her during their non-date, and she wants him to try offering it to his patrons. To his surprise, everyone is eager to try the new dish. People find it delicious and Tommy decides to put it on the menu, much to Abby's happiness. Marge appears and tells him that they have an issue with the shipment of meat for the fundraiser dinner. The supplier won't be able to deliver the meat on time because of the storm. Abby has an idea that may salvage the dinner, and she takes Marge, Tommy, and Claire with her. Her idea is to make vegetarian dishes using Billy's fresh produce. She worked for years at a vegetarian restaurant and she knows some great recipes. Tommy likes the idea, though he's a bit nervous about people's reception of dishes without meat. They go back to the diner to start preparing for the fundraiser, and even Claire helps. Abby is always reassuring Tommy and even tells him that the whole town loves him. Tommy wonders if it's truly the whole town, trying to find out if Abby is included, and she confirms. Cooking together is great. They have fun and balance each other well. During the fundraiser dinner, before people eat, Tommy mentions that it would be impossible to do everything without Abby. She's flattered and really happy to be of help to him and the town. To Tommy's relief, everyone loves the food. Abby's phone rings and it's Becca again. This time, her news is the worst so far. She tells Abby that the network loved her chemistry with Tommy and they want her to work with another host, a chef that Abby doesn't like. She calls him arrogant and a phony and refuses to work with him. Unbeknownst to her, Tommy went after her when he saw her leaving, and he overhears her talking to Becca. He thinks she's talking about him and his heart breaks. He quickly leaves when Abby says she's tired of acting. When Abby comes back, Tommy is cold and dismissive to her. She's confused at his sudden behavior change, but instead of telling her what he heard, Tommy treats her badly. It hurts Abby deeply because she has no idea what happened. Tommy thanks her for her help and tells her he hopes her show is a success. Then, he leaves her alone. Abby is really sad when she goes back to her room. The next day, Kenna asks what happened, but she has no idea. She mentions that Tommy is different, though she doesn't know what she did to him. Aunt Marge also notices something is wrong with Tommy. He tells her what he heard Abby saying, but Marge is sure there must be a misunderstanding. Abby is a nice person and she is infatuated with Tommy. She would never talk about him like that. Marge suggests that he talks to her instead of running from his problems, but Tommy is discouraged. Even if they talk, she's still going away. He prefers to keep things the way they are and go back to their normal lives. It's time for Abby to show the results to Tommy's diner. Everyone is surprised because the diner looks brand new. Tommy thanks Abby for her support, but it's awkward. Abby is emotional and tries not to burst into tears. She says goodbye to everyone, and when it comes to Tommy's turn, she asks to talk to him in private. She tearfully wonders what happened between them because he's so cold to her, and he starts explaining what he heard when they are interrupted by Kenna. She tells them they are late for their flight and need to leave. Abby doesn't want to go. Tommy thanks her again and leaves, breaking her heart with every step he takes away from her. Before she goes, she tells him she left him a gift in the kitchen. After Abby leaves with Kenna, Tommy goes to the kitchen and sees a box. There's a letter thanking him again for his time and wishing him the best, and inside the box, there's the surprise. A picture of them looking happy on their first day of filming. As he stares at the picture, the way their eyes shine in mirth, he decides he has to tell Abby how he feels. If he doesn't, he's going to regret it for the rest of his life. Meanwhile, Abby is sad, and Kenna notices. She explains that she doesn't want to leave, and she doesn't want to do the show the way the network wants her to. Kenna understands her, but if they don't go, they are going to lose the show. There is a herd of sheep on the road again, and Abby leaves the car to steer them away. While she's there, Tommy arrives. It's a surprise for Abby because she thought he had given up on her. He tells her that she can't leave him. He explains what he overheard and she tells him that she was talking about another host, not him. She says that he's the kindest, most genuine guy she ever met. Tommy starts rambling about his feelings to her and Abby finds it funny. She kisses him right in the middle of his speech, silencing him in the best way there is. They finally kiss and seal their love for each other. When they step back, Abby tells him she has an idea that is going to help them be together. Their new show is called Hidden Gems and Tommy is going to co-host with Abby. They are going to small towns looking for gems like the Rocco, and the objective is to replicate the best dishes they find in the diner. It's a great idea that is going to help Abby keep her job. She will be able to cook and be with Tommy and Lawrence. They couldn't be happier.